Welcome to our podcast, where we uncover the most important and interesting stories for you. In this episode, we will discuss scientists who have detected a dangerous bulge around the Mountain of God volcano and are warning of a potential massive eruption. Scientists discovered a sudden bulging in the Mountain of God volcano and warned people against an impending eruption. The Ol Doinyo Lengai volcano, situated in the north of Tanzania, has been swelling because of the flow of magma beneath the surface of the earth. Throughout the 20th century, the 9,718-foot tall volcano has become active after every 20 to 40 years. It last erupted in 2007 and spread the ashes across more than 10 miles from the site. This eruption led to the evacuation of thousands of people from the areas close to the volcano. Since March 2022, there has been a rapid uplift in underground magma volcanic activity in the land near the volcano, which is a sign of imminent doom. We have been able to detect transient motion in volcanic activity, and this is a precursor for any kind of eruption, said Ntambila Daud, who is a graduate student at Virginia Tech. The name of the volcano Ol Doinyo Lengai means Mountain of God in Maasai. The Maasai tribe considers the volcano to be a sacred site and prays to it for curing illness and infertility, and also for relief from any misfortunes. The volcano's records go back to the 1880s. However, it has erupted 9 times since, with the largest eruption taking place 17 years ago. Because of the explosion, the ash rose thousands of feet into the air, and the lava was spread till nearly 2 miles away. Ol Doinyo Lengai is the only volcano that spews carbonite lava, which is a uniquely black or gray-colored that becomes stark white on cooling. Speaking about the study, co-author and Virginia Tech Associate Professor D. Sarah Stamps said, "The approach used in their research provided important steps forward in our understanding of the dynamic magma plumbing system of Ol Doinyo Lengai. This research could help Tanzanian authorities have a better idea of what is happening with the volcano," she said. That's all from this part.
I voted for Donald Trump, and I think that he's the candidate that would, that is more likely to revive the economy, secure the border, make a real path to citizenship, better vetting of people coming over, strengthen the job market in the country.
We voted for Kamala Harris for president. We really care a lot about, women's rights to choose. We really care about our children, making sure that they get a good and honest education. And keeping everybody having the availability to be able to vote, that is able to vote.
Out walking their dogs and with their kids on bikes, and everybody knew them.
Our other top story out of Falls City, investigators say a shooting left 5 out of 7 family members dead and neighbors in shock. The King County Sheriff's Office says a teen is in custody tonight and will be booked on possible murder charges. Thank you for joining us for Fox 13 News at 10. I'm Sabir Rayford.
And I'm David Rose. Fox 13's Jennifer Dowling is here to share where this investigation goes from here. And Jen, what are neighbors telling you about this family?
Well, neighbors say the oldest teen in the home, they believe, was around 15 years old. They say although the parents oftentimes kept to themselves, busy with work and home projects, the kids were often out in the neighborhood socializing, stopping by to say hi, and sometimes even helping with projects around the neighborhood.
I only saw the children in the driveway yesterday afternoon.
As the rain fell on Lake Alice Monday, it matched the somber mood of neighbors like Lynn Trowan.
I'm just in total shock. I keep bursting into tears.
Watching as King County deputies investigated a shooting that devastated the large family that was well known in this lakeside community.
The kids would come over and 4th of July and play sparklers and everything.
Trowan says the 5 kids could be seen fishing and boating from the water's edge here off the beach of their lakeside home all summer.
The little girl just recently painted me a picture, and she gave it to me like a couple of months ago, and I still have that little picture.
Neighbors said the kids were helpful, well behaved, and the whole family could be seen walking around the lake almost daily.
So polite, homeschooled, and it's unfathomable.
Sunday, the sound of music could still be heard coming from the kids' piano in the garage.
It was very quiet there yesterday up till about 4 o'clock. I think they came home from somewhere. And the kids were just running up and down in the driveway as usual. One of the boys was playing the piano in the garage, and then it started to rain, so I came in.
The music was silenced overnight, just before 911 calls started coming in.
And shot the other family members. I believe there's 5 total, not including the RP who's hiding in a bathroom.
The King County Sheriff's Office reports that a teen girl was shot 2 times, but was able to get out of the house to get help.
We learned that there was a neighbor who had medical experience who was providing aid to an injured individual, presumably who had been shot but was surviving.
Deputies described chaos upon arrival with 2 adults and 3 kids dead in the home.
They immediately took one young male, teenage male, into custody. It does appear to be that this is a family incident, clearly a domestic violence incident that involves not only a young man who's now in significant trouble, and it involves firearms.
Deputy Mellis says the girl that escaped was taken to Harborview for treatment.
I just keep seeing their faces, and there's children, and I don't know the details or anything, but I know something terrible has happened there, so.
As for what's next, the investigation will continue tonight. As you can see, it's still ongoing behind me. And then investigators say they will expand it, executing multiple search warrants on things like cell phones and social media apps to try to learn more about what happened here.
According to a 2023 WHO report, around 3.8% of the world's population, which is approximately 280 million people, suffer from depression. What if I tell you that a new device could help people with depression feel better? That too, in the comfort of their own home. Recently, the University of East London in the UK conducted a clinical trial to test a swimming cap-like device called transcranial direct current stimulation, TDCS. The device basically gently stimulates the areas of the brain linked to mood regulation. While the findings of the study are promising, more research is needed to fully understand the long-term benefits and the risks of this treatment. And if everything goes well, the new device might soon transform the way depression is treated.
Cuba is reeling under an electricity blackout. The past 4 days in the dark triggered protests. On Sunday, Cuba's President Miguel Díaz-Canel warned that the government will not tolerate public disturbances. Here's a report on everything that transpired in the country.
People banged pots and pans in the Cuban capital of Havana on Saturday night. Elsewhere, another small protest over a deepening power crisis. People block a street with trash. Cuba's electrical grid collapsed again on Sunday, leaving millions of people without electricity. It marked the 4th such failure in 48 hours. People mulled over what to do as they lined up for bread.
Mal, muy mal, porque sin corriente no tenemos nada.
It's bad, very bad, because without electricity, we have nothing, this woman said. The communist-run government canceled school through Wednesday, a near unprecedented move for Cuba. It pointed to both the energy crisis and Hurricane Oscar, which bore down on the island on Sunday and could make the situation even more complicated. In her old Havana home, Annabelle Gonzalez says she's been without power for 3 days, and her food supply is dwindling. My cell phone is dead, and look at my refrigerator. The little that I had is all gone to waste, she said. Energy and Mines Minister Vicente de la Oleve told reporters that he expected the grid to be fully functional by Monday or Tuesday, but warned residents not to expect dramatic improvements. The government has blamed weeks of worsening blackouts on deteriorating infrastructure, fuel shortages, and rising demand, as well as the U.S. trade embargo and sanctions, which it says hamper efforts to get fuel and parts to run the plants. The U.S. denies a role. The island does not produce much crude oil, and foreign countries have cut exports.
A severe weather warning is in place as Cyclone Dana is expected to make landfall along the coast of West Bengal and Odisha in India. Now, the Indian Meteorological Department has advised residents to brace for extremely heavy rainfall and high winds as the situation develops. The low pressure area over the Bay of Bengal has rapidly intensified, with the IMD predicting it will develop into a cyclone by October 23rd. The Cyclone Dana is expected to reach the coast by the early hours of October 25th. The storm is likely to bring wind speed up to 110 kilometers per hour, with gusts reaching up to 120 kilometers per hour. Now, the IMD has issued a red alert for some districts in Odisha, which include Puri, Khurda, Ganjam and Jagatsinghpur. These areas are expected to receive rainfall between 7 to 20 centimeters. Now, the Met Office has also advised fishermen to stay clear of the sea from October 23rd to October 25th. As precautionary measures, the Odisha government has ordered to close schools across 14 districts, including Ganjam and Puri, to remain closed from October 23rd to 25th. Chief Minister Mohan Charan Majhi has assured residents about the government's readiness, stating that evacuation procedures will be enforced in vulnerable areas. Meanwhile, in West Bengal, the IMD warned of extremely heavy rainfall across multiple districts, including North and South 24 Parganas, Howrah and Kolkata. While capital of Kolkata can face minor flooding, North and South 24 Parganas and Howrah are on high alert for potential evacuations.
Canada's economy is showing signs of turbulence as it heads into the final quarter of the year. Recent data indicates that GDP growth has slowed to just above 1% annualized for the third quarter. And this is down from 2.1% in the previous quarter. Now, this decline comes despite a growing population and 3 interest rate cuts from the Bank of Canada. The central bank, which initially projected a growth rate of 2.8% for this quarter, is expected to revise its outlook in light of these developments when it meets to discuss interest rates. The economic slowdown is further highlighted by disappointing trends in consumer spending and business activity. Factory sales volumes dropped by 0.8% in August and wholesale trade volumes fell by 0.7%. Additionally, Statistics Canada reported virtually unchanged industry-level GDP in August after a modest 0.2% increase in July. And this stagnation raises concerns about demand and capacity within the economy. Amid these challenges, there are mixed signals from the labour market as well. While the unemployment rate decreased to 6.5% in September, the participation rate has softened for 3 consecutive months. And this indicates a potential discouragement among job seekers. Economists suggest that Canada is grappling with significant economic slack akin to conditions seen during the 2015 oil price collapse. In response, analysts anticipate that the Bank of Canada may consider deeper rate cuts to stimulate growth, especially with a federal election on the horizon that could prompt increased spending. Meanwhile, Canada is currently engaged in a diplomatic spat with India. The economic consequences of this fallout can further dent Canada's economic revival. India is exploring a new route to import Mongolian coking coal via Russia as it seeks to diversify supply sources and reduce dependence on transit through China. This move follows disruptions in Australian coal supplies, which impacted India's steel mills. The Mongolian coal is priced about $50 per metric ton, cheaper than the Australian equivalent, but transporting it through Russia presents logistical challenges. Indian steel companies consume about 70 million metric tons of coking coal annually, with 85% of that demand met by imports. Mongolia, though landlocked, offers high-quality coking coal at competitive prices. However, due to tensions with China, India is wary of relying on transit through Chinese routes. The Indian government is now considering Russian routes for regular Mongolian coal shipments despite the longer distance. Mongolia's coal is a cost-effective alternative to Australian supplies, which typically account for over half of India's annual coking coal imports. Last year, disruptions in Australian supply raised concerns within India's steel industry, leading to this strategic shift. India imported 29.4 million metric tons of coking coal in the first half of the current fiscal year, and this is a 2% increase from the previous year, with most of the supply coming from Australia. However, rising geopolitical tensions and volatile Australian supplies have pushed India to consider alternatives. While some Mongolian coal has already arrived through China, India is looking to secure a more reliable and a more diversified supply chain through Russia. The steel industry, which relies heavily on imports, is pushing for this alternative to ensure consistent and cost-effective coking coal supplies.
Our top focus this morning, the Israeli army said that the Hezbollah commander responsible for funding the Lebanese group has been killed in Syria.
Well, the man whose name has not been released headed Hezbollah's unit 4400 that is responsible for transferring funds to the group through Tehran's oil sales. Now, Israeli army spokesman Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari said the unit was previously led by Mohammad Jafar Qasir, who was killed in a targeted attack on Beirut in October.
Between Sunday and Monday, the Israeli Defense Forces targeted around 30 sites belonging to Hezbollah's financial arm, Al-Qard al-Hassan. The Israeli army conducted more than a dozen strikes on various South Beirut districts, including Haret Tariq, south of Uzai and Hadat.
As per local media reports, the strike came closely after the warning, leaving no room for people to escape. Now, according to the IDF, its troops hit a Hezbollah bunker under a hospital in Beirut, holding tens of millions of dollars worth of cash and gold during a series of strikes aimed at the group's financial network.
I'm going to declassify intelligence on a site that we did not strike, where Hezbollah has millions of dollars in gold and cash, in Hassan Nasrallah's bunker. Where is the bunker located? Directly under El Sahel Hospital, in the heart of Beirut, in the Dakhia. This is the bunker. It contains rooms, beds, and infrastructure for long stays, and the ability to direct combat from underground. Hezbollah built this bunker directly underneath this hospital. There are hundreds of millions of dollars in cash and gold inside the bunker right now.
Lebanese Health Ministry has denied these claims. The ministry said 4 people, including a child, were killed on Monday as IDF strikes hit the entrance to a hospital in South Beirut that receives a large number of patients.
In Israel's Daliat al-Kamel, hundreds of people attended the funeral of Israeli Army Colonel Ehsan Daksar, the commander of the 401st Brigade, who was killed in the Jabalia area when an explosive struck him. He was one of the most senior army commanders killed in the year-long Gaza war. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken headed back to the West Asia region on Monday on a new push for Gaza ceasefire. Now, the State Department said that the aim of this trip is securing the release of all hostages and alleviating the suffering of the Palestinian people.
The Secretary will reaffirm the United States' ironclad commitment to Israel's security and emphasize advancing enduring peace and security for Israelis and Palestinians alike. Throughout the region.
Furthermore, Hamas sources say the Palestinian group is moving towards appointing a Doha-based ruling committee rather than a single successor to its chief Yahya Sinwar, who was killed by Israeli troops last week. The approach is not to appoint a successor to Sinwar until next elections scheduled for March.
A 5-member committee that was formed in August following Ismail Haniyeh's assassination will take over the leadership of the group. In other development, Iran on Monday warned the United States that it will bear full responsibility in case of a retaliatory attack by Israel on the Islamic Republic of Iran, after US President Joe Biden indicated that he was aware of Israeli plans to do so.
Now, the reaction comes after the report that the U.S. administration is investigating an unauthorized release of classified documents that assessed Israel's plans to attack Iran. The White House said President Biden still has complete confidence in his agencies.
What I will say is the president continues to have complete confidence in his in the agencies, right? Whether it's DOD, IC, or DOJ, and he has complete confidence in them. There is this is being looked into, investigation being done by the appropriate parties, and I'm not going to get into it.
All right, and for more on this, our correspondent Susan Tehrani has sent us a report from New York. Listen to this.
The White House says that President Biden is, quote, deeply concerned about the possibility of leaked classified U.S. intelligence detailing Israel's possible attack against Iran. The Pentagon said that it's investigating the leak, which surfaced on the platform Telegram over the weekend, but it's unclear whether or not those documents were hacked or deliberately leaked. National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby confirmed the investigation and said that President Biden, quote unquote, is actively monitoring the process. The leaked documents, marked top secret, appear to show Israel's retaliation plans against Iran, including weapon positioning. The White House and federal agencies are now working to determine the source of the leak, which has significant implications not only on U.S.-Israel relations, but on national security issues as well here at home. Susan Tehrani reporting from New York for WION.
As Hezbollah continues its rocket and drone barrage on the positions of Israeli forces and cities, it has now unveiled a new weapon. It's called Nasser 2. Now, Hezbollah's military media unit has shared a video of what it claims to be a new precision-guided rocket artillery weapon. Now, Hezbollah claims that the new rocket can evade enemy electronic warfare, and the group has claimed that the weapon was first deployed just a few days ago on the 20th of this month, where multiple Nasser 2 rockets were in fact fired at the city of Haifa in Israel. Now, the Hezbollah group has shared the specifications of this rocket a few days after firing it towards Haifa. It claims that the caliber of the missile is over 300 millimeters with a capability to carry warheads of 140 kilograms. The total weight of the rocket is expected to be somewhere close to 650 kilograms. And of course, it comes with a range which is specific to Hezbollah's targets at this point. Its range is estimated to be about 150 kilometers. This precision-guided missile can hit the target with an accuracy of up to 5 meters. Hezbollah has also claimed an attack on Israeli troops using 2 anti-tank guided missiles, or commonly known as ATGMs. A purported video of this alleged attack was released by Hezbollah's military media unit as well. Hezbollah claims that the ATGMs, they struck troops belonging to the 1st Infantry Golani Brigade, and this was near the Lebanese-Palestinian border. Now, it claimed that the attack hit a grouping of combat engineering forces on the 15th of October, where at least 8 soldiers from the IDF were positioned. Israel, however, has not reported this attack.
Over the past few months, Russia has been carrying out scheduled flights over the Sea of Japan. In the latest, Russian Defense Ministry has said that 2 Tu-95MS strategic bombers performed a scheduled flight over the neutral waters of the Sea of Japan. The ministry has said that the Tu-95S or the Tu-95s flew for about 10 hours, escorted by Su-30s fighter jets. This is not the first time Russia has conducted flights over the Sea of Japan. Last month, Japan accused Russia of violating its airspace with a patrol plane. Japanese fighter jets issued a warning to the Russian military over a radio signal before firing flares at a Russian plane that had entered its airspace. The Japanese Defense Ministry said that a Russian Il-38 Patriot aircraft violated their airspace over the territorial waters. In the same month, along with China, Russia conducted joint drills. The warships of Russia's Pacific Fleet and Chinese Navy entered Sea of Okhotsk in the Western Pacific as part of joint Navy exercises. A combined squadron of warships from the Pacific Fleet and the Chinese Navy practiced maneuvers, formation of sailing orders, air defense tasks during the drills. Apart from drills over the sea of Japan, Russian military jets have been spotted near the US coast as well. 4 bombers which can carry nuclear weapons have been detected near Alaska. The Russian military has released a video showing the aircraft. It has said that the flight was carried out in accordance with international rules and that the bombers had been escorted by fighter jets. The Russian bombers Tu-95s, despite being old, are massively upgraded and continue to be employed in attacks against Ukraine. These are designed to fly at a distance of 5,000 miles per hour. The so-called Russian Bear bombers can strike targets within the United States from territory within the former Soviet Union. The Tu-95 is equipped with 4 turboprop engines, NK-12. The high-power engines make it one of the loudest aircraft in the world. Originally developed as a bomber, the Tu-95 evolved into a missile carrier during modernization.
The 16th BRICS summit is taking place in Russia's Kazan from today. This year's summit will see participation from BRICS founding members alongside the new members. While Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi will hold bilateral talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Vion Siddhant Sibbal brings you this ground report from Russia. Listen to this. Called Russia's third capital after Moscow and St. Petersburg, Kazan is all decked up with the banners of the BRICS summit and the red and blue of Russian flag. The city is hosting a mega gathering of leaders of the BRICS, a group of emerging economies and an invited guest that include Russia's immediate neighbors and the countries of the global south. BRICS represents 45% of the world's population, 33% of its landmass and 28% of the global economy. In a meet with BRICS media persons, Russia's President Putin was upbeat about the grouping's future. Quoting Indian Prime Minister Modi, he pointed that the grouping is non-Western and not anti-Western.
The Prime Minister of India put it best. He said BRICS is not an anti-Western alliance, it is simply non-Western. This distinction is very important and has great meaning. That is, BRICS does not set itself in opposition to anyone. It is a group of countries that work together, guided by shared values, a common vision for development, and, most importantly, by the consideration of each other's interests. This is the foundation on which we will be working in Kazan.
The group first met at leadership level in 2009 in Russia's Yekaterinburg, emerging in the aftermath of the 2008 financial crisis. The group of leading emerging economies saw its first expansion in 2011 with the inclusion of South Africa, giving the letter S to BRICS. A second major expansion came last year with the inclusion of Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. More countries are keen to join. Delhi has supported the expansion of the BRICS and believes the group can be a strong voice of the global south. India has been part of the talks on the payment system.
India brings great value to BRICS, and its contributions have played a vital role in shaping BRICS efforts in areas such as economic growth, sustainable development, and global governance reform.
India is a founding member of the group and is expected to play an important role at this year's summit with Prime Minister Modi in attendance. As a grouping, BRICS has been successful, with the new development bank becoming an alternative to current global lenders with its support to global infrastructure development. Other achievements of the grouping include the BRICS Contingent Reserve Arrangement, the BRICS Vaccine R&D Center, and the BRICS Remote Sensing Satellite Constellation.
The big focus during this year's BRICS summit will be on alternative payments mechanism and also on the expansion of the grouping. But for Russia, it will be about sending a message to the world and to the West that it is not isolated amidst the Ukraine war, and it has several friends in the global south and in Asia. With video journalist Ajit Siddhant Sibbal for WION in Kazan, Tatarstan, Russia.
Это выше, как темпов страны. По отношению к Украине с обеспечением долгосрочных интересов России в сфере безопасности.
The nightmare in Gaza is now entering an atrocious, abominable second.
Долгосрочного генерироваться основной прирост глобального максимально